Good afternoon and welcome to the Empowerment Hour. My name is Gabriel and I will be your presenter for today. I am joined by Ms. Tozama, and if you can see or hear us, you're tuned into Kofifi FM 97.2 or you're watching us on socials. Ms. Tozama is here today to interpret as we go through a very, very important show today, and that is about deaf awareness. So for today's purpose, Ms. Tozama will be my interpreter. Stay tuned. Today, I am joined by Atiyah Asmal, a member of Socigo, and we are super excited because we are covering deaf awareness in this episode. Atiyah, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming through today. We're actually so excited because it's one of our first episodes where we have an interpreter interpreting live for us. So, my first question is about you. Can you tell me a little about yourself?
My name is Atiyah. I'm from a deaf family. I'm the third generation deaf in my family. There's a lot of deaf people. My mother, father, and my sister. We have a very strong deaf family. I grew up within deaf people. The most interesting thing is about my mom, who never went to school. She never went to school because she wasn't really keen on going. She felt like, I'm deaf, I'm going to be excluded. You know how life was back in the day. There was a lot of exclusion, so she never went to school. She's never seen what it is like to be in a school. So the first person to go to a school for the deaf was my sister. She went there to a deaf school, and she went to university. She studied and she got her MA, and she did really well and progressed really well within the education system. So I'm also educated, and I'm grateful that I went into a school. And if I never went to a school, how would my life be today?
So I like how you say you come from a generation of family being deaf. Can you tell me when it's very different being a hearing person as opposed to being a deaf person? So I know what I've recently found out is there are two different classifications. So you get deaf with a capital letter D and then deaf with a lowercase d. Can you expand a bit on that for us?
Well, for me, our family is a strong deaf family, and I identify myself with a capital D. Another person who, for instance, grew up in a hearing family and lost their hearing later on, they continue doing their ways. Maybe they had an accident or something happened and they became deaf. They usually identify themselves with a smaller D. There is a variety in how we identify yourself, but I feel that I am part of the deaf community and I'm proud of being deaf. And I am deaf. So, for example, a lot of people have asked, give pointers of why you say that you are fully deaf with a capital D. Firstly, I'm proud to be deaf. Secondly, I'm a woman. Thirdly, sorry.
Muslim.
Okay.
Yeah, Muslim.
I'm Muslim, okay. And I am Muslim. So that's how I identify myself, with a capital letter D. It's my identity. I'm deaf, I'm a woman, and I'm a Muslim. So those three things are part of my identification, but they are not as important. My first identification is that I am a deaf person. So it depends on how or which deaf community you have grown up in. And you discuss about the type of person that they are and how they became deaf. That will differentiate between the capital D and the small d.
Thank you so much for that. Like you said, you grew up in a family of deaf individuals. So I'm sure learning South African Sign Language came to you pretty easily.
Well, my family, yes, they are deaf. It's just like you're hearing, you have your own language that you use at home, and you hear whatever language you use at home. So my mom and dad were always signing, and that's the language that I learned and was my first language. Ever since I was born, that's what I know. They would sign at me, so that's what I know. My mother and fathers, they did not use South African Sign Language. They used their own sign language that they created from home, because they did not socialize with the deaf communities, and they just used their own sign language. When I went into a school, that's when I saw that actually there is proper sign language. Like the last time when I was 18, 19, in the 80s or 90s, they were not allowed to use sign language. They were forced to be oral. So when I started school at the age of 3 at MCK Special School, I got there, and they would hit us and tell us that we must not sign. We were actually forced to speak. And I was confused, because at home we are deaf and we use sign, but at school you're telling me that I cannot sign. So I was very confused, and I thought that sign language was wrong and being oral was right. So I carried on learning how to be oral. So at school, we used to sign in secret. We used to teach each other sign language in secret. When the teacher wasn't around. But at home, we would freely sign. So the first language that I learned was sign language from home. And the other people who are deaf from school did not know sign language at all. And for the first time, that's where they saw sign language. But I saw sign language from home.
Wow, so you kind of were a role model for these kids in teaching them sign or in helping them learn sign. Now, today we are lucky enough to have an interpreter present, Ms. Tozama. What happens in everyday situations where you would need an interpreter or you need to have a discussion with a hearing individual?
Yes, it's true. It's my everyday life and everyday challenge. For example, if I'm in a car accident, if I was driving and end up in a car accident, or I need to go to a doctor or to the bank or meet a hearing person like you, the communication is broken. So I use lip reading. I lip read a lot. But now we've got technology that we are using. There's new technology like Convo. At work, that's what we are using. We are using Convo. So if I want to communicate with a person, I phone Convo on my app, and the interpreter comes up, and we are able to communicate right there and then. This is new technology that we're using. But before, we had none of that. Communicating was difficult. We had to write amongst each other back and forth, or out lip read the hearing. They did not have any sign language, so most of the time I'd have to lip read or depend on somebody else on interpreting with me. But now we have a lot of activities, we have a lot of technology. There are apps that we can use, and Convo is one of the apps that is very beneficial for us in communicating.
I love that you've touched on technology, and we will come back to it a bit later. But you've also mentioned the organization that you are involved with. Could you tell us a little bit more about it?
Okay, so I'm in an organization. The organization's name is Socigo. It's socio, go. It's in 2 words, and we put the words together. This is what the sign looks like. It means that we see that hearing people, we want to socialize with hearing people or go to festivals or any other events that may come about. So we have those hearing people with us. Some people are traveling the world. We see that everywhere in the world there is a deaf community, and there are different celebrations that are happening, and there are different festivals that have been happening. So with the deaf festival, there'd be deaf bands there, and there'd be signed songs, singers doing hip hop. Deaf people will be doing that, but South African deaf people were not attending these events. So myself and another co-founder of mine, we developed Socigo. What was that about? We put together our deaf community, and we wanted to find a way where we can network with different deaf people, gain knowledge, empower people, have different workshops for women, and have a women's camp, a men's camp. We just wanted to empower the deaf community. Anything about abuse, GBV, have different workshops based on that. So we started off with about 18 people, and the last time we got funding from America, and we selected deaf schools, and we chose learners who were academically doing well. And we wanted to know who are these children that are deaf but are doing well academically, because we wanted to empower them. We wanted them to involve themselves in sign language and art, or some sort of skill that they have, whether it's drawing, drama, or filming, or camera work, that these children can be empowered with. So we chose 18 people from Japan, America, France. Different people from different countries came over, and we had 400 children who participated in this, and we were teaching them and empowering them to show them how to do different skills. What's this? Again, sorry, M. Did you get that?
Not yet.
No, I don't understand it. So M-A-M-A-M-A-G, magnetic, magic, doing magic, yeah. Poetry, like graffiti, doing graffiti, art, filming, dancing, editing, just doing that with the children. That's what we were empowering them with. And they were very excited. It went very well. So for example, I want to share an experience of a child who would sit alone, isolated. She didn't want to socialize or anything like that. I saw that she kept to herself, and I called her over. But what she really enjoyed was filming. So I gave her a camera, and I told her that she must film everything that was happening, to edit the work that she had captured. And she had great skills. She was not good at writing, but the skill of filming and editing, that's what she had. And that's how we had empowered her. So Sociogog does different things for us to make sure that they are able to socialize, and we empower them with those different skills. And now we have a youth camp. That we do organize, and we teach them leadership skills, if they want to do school, what they should be going for. Now I'm old, there isn't much that I can do. All I can do is be their role model and show them how to go about navigating this life, and how we can make this language even more official. the sign language being more official for our deaf community, just to empower them, and they must know how important their language is. I would gather them around during that camp. We also do poetry. We have workshops for drama, arts, and those are the different skills that we do as Socigo. There's a whole list of things.
So I do want to talk about this a bit more, but for our or for our viewers at home, could you please repeat Socigo's sign for them? So, okay, so for the listeners at home, it is basically your fingers completely open and then you're interlocking them. Absolutely great.
It means that everybody is coming together. But I wanted to go about to add about Socigo. For deaf only, no. We also want to include the hearing community so that they can also learn about deaf culture. They learn about sign language, how performance is done within our deaf kids, the arts and all of that. We want them to also learn. For example, there's a cheese. Yeah, cheese and wine. They love that. So we also have the hearing and the deaf who are very interested in tasting the cheese and the wine. We invite them. We invite the hearing as well so that they can also socialize and network with the deaf community.
So it's now my turn to share a little story, and it's because I'm looking at how you're empowering the other learners or other kids. A few years ago, something that took me aback was South Africa's Got Talent, where there was a deaf community member from Durban, and he had actually won the competition by dancing. And it was absolutely, for me, I was a lot younger, but just watching that and hearing how he had learned to dance just by feeling beat, it is so inspirational, and it shows that just because you aren't able to, or you don't have all five senses, it doesn't mean that you have any sort of, I think what we're moving towards is handicap. There's nothing that stops you from doing what anybody else can do. So we did talk about the organization and your role, and you also mentioned technology. What are some types of technology outside of Convo that can be used?
I think the other kind of technology that needs maybe improvement are apps like, I love music. For example, I love music. I don't know what the lyrics of the song, and I'd love to actually see the person sing and have the lyrics shown. Everyone is singing, and I don't know the lyrics, but if I can find the song on an app with its lyrics, I'll be very happy to have that. Maybe Apple can develop something like that, or have a hearing aid that is connected to the iPhone where I can actually hear those lyrics being said. Or maybe connect via Bluetooth, or somebody else talks, but having my hearing aid connected to my device. Some are hard of hearing, some don't want their hearing aids, so there would be differentiations when it comes to that kind of app. So one of the other challenges are like with our technologies, I've seen that overseas their technology and South Africa's technology is, ours is a bit backward. It's coming on, but it's quite slow. But Socigo wants to teach those kind of things, how to use AI. So maybe I'm planning that Sociogo's has another workshop to teach the deaf community how to use AI for themselves and how it can change their lives and signing. So that's what I'm planning to do.
That is an absolutely beautiful statement. Can I ask, as a follow-up, I, as a hearing person, if I come to Socigo, how am I able to contribute to uplift deaf culture?
So how you can assist with Sociogo is life and people's lives are different. So bring in what you have, discuss your experiences, give your knowledge, empower based on what you have. Also, we need fundraising for Sociogo. You can assist with fundraising or donating some money for some sort of workshop or help another learner to maybe fly to another country so that they can develop their skills. Like you said, you saw that guy dancing, and there are lots of kids who have that skill, and we see it, and they have the knowledge, but the funding is just not there. And the hearing people continue and their lives continue, but our deaf kids are left behind. So bring them along, involve them in those kind of things, and show them what else they have out there. Or bring an interpreter for those kids so that they can learn more within that hearing community. Just involve them. Example, if there's a show somewhere and there's hearing and there's no deaf people, the deaf people are not going to attend that show because there's no interpreter. So if there is an interpreter, you invite the deaf people and they watch it and they'll enjoy it. Or if one of them have a certain kind of skill that can be used, then bring them on and they can assist. If their job is perfect, why not use them?
Oh, that's so cool. So for our listeners and viewers at home, this is exactly how you can get involved in these type of organizations. A lot of the time, we don't know exactly how we can be a part of change, and this is exactly how we do it, by reaching out to these organizations.
Hello and welcome to RCS EduShare, the show where we share everything there is to know about special education. Today our video is about severe behavioral disorders. As you know, Randburg Clinic School is a school for learners with autism as well as SPD, i.e. severe behavioral disorders. As a community, it's especially essential that we understand and support individuals affected by these conditions. So what exactly are behavioral disorders? These are mental conditions where disruptive behaviors persist longer than expected in childhood development. These behaviors can get in the way of a child's everyday life. Their relationships and their ability to learn are severely compromised at times. Common behavioral disorders include oppositional defiant disorder, conduct disorder, disruptive mood dysregulation, and intermittent explosive disorder. Individuals with severe behavioral disorders often exhibit aggression, defiance, emotional outbursts, and social difficulties. These behaviors can be intense, frequent, affecting daily life as well as the relationships with friends and family. Some common signs of severe behavioral disorders include frequent temper tantrums, aggression towards others, defiance of rules and authority, difficulty making friends, as well as low frustration tolerance. If you're concerned about your child having SPD, you need to consult a medical professional for guidance. So what causes severe behavioral disorders? Research suggests that a combination of genetic, environmental, and psychological factors, including genetic predisposition, brain chemistry imbalances, trauma, stress, and inconsistent discipline. So how do we raise community awareness and support? As a community, we can make a difference by raising awareness about SPD, promoting acceptance and inclusivity, promoting families and individuals who are affected, and encouraging professional help and guidance. Thank you for watching this video. Together, we can create a more supportive and understanding environment for everyone. By understanding severe behavioral disorders, we can work together to build a more compassionate and supportive community.
Now, Atiyah, you did say that, or you've mentioned deaf identity. Can you tell me a bit about what deaf identity is and what deaf culture is?
identity, I'll explain it in this way. Who am I? Who are you? Talk about yourself. For example, I am Indian. I'm Muslim. I speak English. My home language is sign language. That is my identity. I'm proud of who I am. The first thing that I'm proud of is being deaf. So, I have a disability? No, I don't think I have a disability. I'm just deaf. I can walk. No, I'm not hearing, but if I am hard of hearing, when you call me, I can hear you, but I don't see myself as having a disability. So now deaf culture is something else, yeah. Hearing culture and deaf culture. So hearing culture would be something like light, if you're going to use light for an example. I can't see. So you guys are talking, and I don't understand what you are saying. So the hearing way, that's how you operate. But within the deaf community or deaf culture, how they would operate is like you have sign names. In the deaf culture, we have sign names. The hearing people, you call people's names. But in deaf people, you have sign names. Okay? So we identify your sign name with your appearance. Maybe your hair, if you have spots, or maybe you have a grove in your chin, or your personality, or if you're always smoking, then we would incorporate your sign name with that. So that's one of the differences I can give an example of. And the way that we socialize, we use sign language. We are signing all the time.
Perfect.
But there's a lot. It's just that I can't think of much now.
No, that's all right. I love that you mentioned sign names. So my sign name is Gabriel, and the spot on my face is what was used as the marker. So it brilliantly describes just how easy it is to be given your sign name. But how exactly can one go about getting a sign name?
All right, so if you want a sign name, a hearing person cannot just give themselves a sign name.
Yes.
You need the deaf person to give you that sign name. You ask a deaf person, I don't have a sign name, can you please give me one? And a deaf person will analyze you and look at your personality. Example, maybe if your hair is standing up on one side, and will give you that. Or if you don't want the one that you have now, just an example, that's how we would give you a sign name.
I would love to change mine. So, we spoke about deaf culture. Does deaf culture include individuals who have hearing loss, or is it only those who have completely no hearing or who are completely deaf?
Well, the deaf community in South Africa, we have many individuals. There's a variety of deaf people. Some are born deaf, some are born fully deaf, or they were born hard of hearing, or they were hearing and lost their hearing. So the deaf person actually chooses their own identity to identify if I want to use sign language. If I need an interpreter, some deaf people say, I don't want an interpreter. I can talk. It's fine. It depends on the individuals. But the most important is access to language or access to sign language. That's the most important thing. The deaf person can feel they have the ability to choose, but we need to have access for everybody. For instance, the deaf person is hard of hearing, but there's a lot of information that they would miss. If there is an interpreter and they know sign language, they would access everything. They would access all information. So if there's an interpreter there, that will be helpful for them. So for example, at the police station, if I need to go make a statement, I can go on Convo. Now we have the technology, and I'm at a police station, I'm deaf, and I need access to that language. It's Deaf Awareness Month now, and I don't see much people knowing sign language. It's not there. But we need to develop that sign language of having sign language. And if I don't have it, how do I move on?
Hi, I'm Nazreen Mago, and welcome to Beyond Sidelines. This is SBD. The aim is to collect the cones, and whoever finishes first wins. Welcome back. This is one of our races, and it's called ball sorting. The learners will each get a color, collect it from here, and put it in the black bucket. The SBD, can they reach the target? Let's see. Close. Take another one.
So we've mentioned Convo a lot. And for our viewers and guests at home, Convo is actually an app used by the deaf community to communicate. How it works is actually quite simple. It's almost like a phone call, a three-way phone call with you, the individual who is deaf, and an interpreter. And what happens is you get to speak while the interpreter does it, exactly like we're sitting in the studio, just done over the phone. So we spoke about Convo and we spoke about technology, but there are other things like cochlear implants and even transcription apps. How do you find navigating technology?
With the cochlear implant, it's a sensitive issue. For me, what I would say, it's like I've said before, deaf people are individuals and they choose. You choose if you want a cochlear, go ahead. If you don't want one, then it's still okay. We do have technology. Some use it, some don't. And they basically need to choose. So you have a phone translator that you have, but does it link well? Is the translation correct? Sometimes it's not correct, which is a bit of a challenge. Sometimes there are captures, like on YouTube.
Zoom.
Zoom, okay? Or Teams, MS Teams. They have captures, but sometimes the words are broken and the communication doesn't come through very clearly. So that's some of the challenges that we would have. But on the movies or on Netflix, they have captions and it's correct and it makes sense. So some technology is good and it's working really well. So on the news, we do have an interpreter, but we want everything to have that kind of access, to have captions or an interpreter. So with Socigo, we have all of that throughout so that everybody gains access. So I need access to information. That's very important.
I like that we've touched on having captions in movies, because I, as a hearing individual, still use captions. I very much need it. And I have noticed as of recent, a lot of the captions are AI generated. And that's where it goes wrong, because the words are suddenly not what is being said.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
And I understand, because I mean, if I could only read the words, they'd never make sense to me. Not at all.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So Socigo, how does the organization, we've spoken about them upskilling learners or upskilling children and upskilling individuals who are deaf. Is there support provided for families of individuals who are deaf, especially more so hearing families?
With Socigo, we mostly focus on our children. But if a child does have a hearing family, we have with Wits University has high hopes. They are perfect and they support families. They have lots of resources that they use. There's trainers, there are HIs, they have hearing, it's children who are deaf and they have parents who are hearing. They fully support them. Socigo works along with High Hopes. We communicate a lot and we support each other a lot. Fun Day, Socigo was with them when they were celebrating. We had jumping castles, art, dancing on our awareness day. Teachers came, children came, families came, and they saw how our children were working. We were working along with High Hopes. The hearing mothers and fathers were very confused. They were surprised, and they were thinking, how on earth am I going to learn sign language? So it's best that when they communicate or contact High Hopes for that family support.
So just to confirm, High Hopes is the organization and they can access it through WITS?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's the Deaf Study Center. That's where they can go.
Okay, thank you so much. When it comes to a child who is deaf, you said when you were little, being in a school was difficult because they forced you to talk. As a parent or a teacher or any sort of caregiver, how can I help a child become as independent as possible if they are deaf?
Like I said, the best way is to contact High Hopes. They'll be able to help you. What is best for that deaf child, they will tell you. So for me, the important thing for a deaf child is information. Give that information. Give as much information as you can. Or with the mother and father, they need to roll up their sleeves and learn sign language. They really need to learn how to communicate with their deaf child. Because if there's no communication between the two, how does the child develop? If there is no language, the child will have delayed development. So imagine if you are born hearing, you can hear everything. And every day of your life, you are hearing. You are walking, you hear somebody talking from behind. It's important to know that somebody's coming from behind you. And you can hear it, or you are in a car and there are all sorts of things happening around you. There's the radio, you can hear all of that. You can hear what's happening in your environment, and naturally you're learning about your environment and the world. But the deaf child, how are they learning all of that? Or for me, I'm walking every day and I'm not hearing anything. I have to read to get that information. I have to read constantly to gain that information. So it's important to teach children to read, to sign, gain that access of communication, so that their language develops and they're confident in language. The mother and father must learn sign language. South African Sign Language is an official language. They should learn it.
I think at RCS we celebrated the day that South African Sign Language became an official language, because it's something that's so important to us, not just because we work beside individuals who are hard of hearing or deaf, but also because it is an efficient way of communicating with learners and teaching them as well. Again, it is a language on its own. So I think that's of utmost importance. And something else that I wanted to touch on was, you said if a person walks behind you. I've learned over my recent years that you approach a deaf individual from the front. Are there any other social norms that, as hearing individuals, we need to pay attention to when approaching a person who is deaf?
Sometimes I walk in, a person is calling me, or they're saying hello, or obviously I can't hear them. So, for example, it was such a funny story at a shop. I'm busy with my own shopping, and somebody came from behind me. Oh, she's saying, excuse me, from behind, and I can't hear this person. And then the person pushed me. And I thought, what's so rude? Why is this person pushing me? And I said, I'm deaf. And the person was surprised. Sometimes the hearing person, you call me, you call, and I don't look at you. It's best that you tap me on my shoulder. Tap me gently on my shoulder so that I can look at you, and then we can communicate. That's the best way. So you need to understand that this person is deaf, and you just tap them on the shoulder, and I can look at you. So if the deaf people are having a conversation, don't walk in between them. You need to walk around them so that they are able to see each other communicating. But sometimes hearing people don't understand the deaf community. Example, at the airport. I asked for assistance because I needed assistance to go. I needed to go ahead of the line for my stamping to get done on my passport. And I asked for somebody to assist me when I was at the front of the line. And they said, okay, wait, we'll fetch somebody. A wheelchair. They said, wait, we'll fetch a wheelchair. You can sit on the wheelchair. So I'm like, I can walk.
Yeah.
They said, yeah, but you're disabled. And I said, I don't need a wheelchair. I need assistance with somebody to walk with me so that they can explain that I am deaf, or to write or whatever. I needed help with communication, not with walking. I don't need a wheelchair. So it's like on the plane, I asked for information for the emergency exit and so forth, all those emergency things that they give us. They gave it to me in writing, in Braille. Oh, they gave it to me in Braille.
No.
And I'm like, but I can see. I can see, I don't need Braille. So yeah, blind and deaf is completely different. So disabilities are different, and there are different needs for those disabilities. Everybody has their own specific needs. So my needs are different from the next person's needs. I would need an interpreter, or if I don't need an interpreter, I have my technology that I can use.
So we need more accessibility for deaf people in public spaces. That's what I'm getting from this conversation.
Okay.
Okay, so my last question is, what awareness or what would you like to raise regarding the deaf community And what would you like to share with all our listeners and viewers on how they can be better individuals when it comes to helping out the deaf community?
I have a long list of things. I think we need more awareness with sign language. In different areas, we have different needs. We need an interpreter, or we need that technology, or we need empowerment. What's important is that we need to be included. The community needs to be inclusive. They must not leave us out or leave us isolated. You need to include us. And how can you include us? We need to work together. We need to encourage the hearing people to know how to talk for the deaf community. No. We need somebody, don't talk on our behalf. So the deaf person can talk for themselves. So you'll find that I'm a hearing and I can explain about this deaf person. No, but I can do it on my own. I know who I am and put the deaf person here to represent themselves. You get what I'm saying?
I understand.
So we need that equality. There is no equality out there. You think that it's some sort of disability that we have. Treat us with fairness. Include us.
Well,
are we equal?
definitely.
We are equal. I can do, you can do as well. Whatever you can do, I can do. If I need an interpreter, I can have an interpreter. If I need that technology, there is that technology.
Well, Atiyah, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us today. Unfortunately, we do have to come to a close. But before I let you go, is there anything or any shout out that you'd like to give to the camera for anybody at home?
Hi to my family. I love all of you. I love my family so much. And also, I'd like to say to the deaf community, it's important to include yourselves as well, and the hearing community to include themselves in the deaf communities. It's the Deaf Awareness Month. We learning sign language. Some people don't have access to certain things. Does it mean that celebrating the deaf people stops? No, we continue. You continue spreading the word and spreading that information. Thank you.
Thank you so much. To our listeners and viewers at home, I do hope that this has enlightened you a little bit. I know I certainly will be taking things home with me and trying to improve on my own methods. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Bye-bye.
Cut.